All right, welcome back with a quick little review here, this time for Western Europe. Sorry this is a day late. I usually do these on Wednesdays, but regardless, I'm going to be doing my Western European review right now for week 4 and a little bit of week 5. And I have my North American review going up after this one, so if you don't want to miss that, feel free to subscribe, like, all that fun stuff. And tomorrow's Power Rankings Day, which I'm super excited for. A lot of movement for some teams, which I think you guys will really enjoy. So again, if you don't want to miss the Power Rankings and stuff, feel free to subscribe. So, getting into this review, in case you're new here, as there seem to be quite a few new people here these past few days, what I do is I go through each and every match that has taken place in the time frame I've selected, go through each and every one of them, then take a look at an updated standings, as well as all the movements since my last review, and then finally ending things off with a bunch of fun stats. So, starting off in the upper division, and then I do the same thing for the lower division. On January 5th, we had our season resuming again in the new year with Team Nigma taking on Alliance. At the time, both of these teams were tied for 6th in the region, trying to avoid relegation. And Nigma, it seems, ever since their first series win, which was against Team Secret, really feel like a completely different team. Now, obviously, they've got 3 losses, but 2 of those came with Roman, and they had a pretty underwhelming reintroduction of Miracle in that first series that they had him back. But ever since then, they have looked like a very, very solid team. Definitely one of the better ones in this region, at least as of late. However, their slow start is definitely going to hinder their chances at maybe making it to the major, maybe missing it, if we even have a major at all. Nigma in this series played very, very well. Alliance unfortunately lose this one and would later on be one of the 2 teams going down to the lower division in the future. But Nigma keep their chances of making it to the major alive with a very nice, well-played series win. Again, very clean Dota and all-around nice win. Then on January 8th, we had Tundra taking down Cool Guys, and things continue to go from bad to worse for Cool Guys. I was giving them the benefit of the doubt for a little bit while there, especially in that series against OG, where they actually took the series to 3 games. But it feels like ever since then, they've kind of been slipping back into the form they were in at the start of the season, where games don't feel nearly as close anymore, and they're not extending the series out to 3 games anymore, and they officially get eliminated from the upper division with this loss to Tundra, I believe, or it might have been the next series that they lost, but regardless, going 0-5 at that point definitely did not feel very good. Following that, we had Team Tickles taking down OG in a very, very hard-fought match. This was a very entertaining series to watch. OG and Tickles both had their shining moments in Game 1 and 2, but ultimately it came down to maybe a bit of a drafting blunder. OG picking the off-lane Faceless Void, which didn't end up paying off very well, and definitely a key reason as to why the hero has not been seen in that role for such a long time, let alone in the current meta. We don't see a lot of Faceless Void at all. The fact that we were seeing it and then also in a different position was a little bit weird, and unfortunately that weirdness, that quirkiness that OG is usually known for, doesn't really end up working out for them here. And Team Tickles, again, they look really, really good. They are 4-1 to this point. They are looking like they are more than certainly going to be attending the major, and again, looking like one of the stronger teams here. I've been very impressed with Team Tickles and their play so far. It's very clean, very well-executed Dota. The only series they've lost so far was to Team Liquid, who, at this point in the season, was undefeated. Following that, January 11th, we had Team Nigma breaking that undefeated streak of Team Liquid. And at first, it really didn't look like that's what it was going to be. Game 1 was very Team Liquid favored, and Team Nigma was playing a draft that it felt like had some holes, and then they didn't do anything that really compensated for that, and that was just their lack of overall tower pressure. They were running the mid Doom, carry Queen of Pain, so they really lacked someone to actually hit buildings, hit Roshan, and ultimately, even though they had some great moments in that game, they took some good fights every now and then, they just had no way to turn those big fights into a big lead, and Team Liquid, it seemed like they read that very well. Their draft was very solid. They seemed to have read the gameplay very well, and they seemed very well prepared until Game 2. And for Game 2, it's funny, I was actually just listening to the draft. I wasn't actively watching it. And as soon as they started talking about the draft, they had mentioned that Team Nigma was going with something already completely different to Game 1. And in my head, I was like, oh man, Nigma's starting to stray a little bit. But then I heard them say, Miracle, first pick, Invoker. And I was like, all right, Nigma's winning this game. His Invoker is that good. And if you recall watching the Animator, that was a big reason as to why they did so well, is because they could first pick his Invoker and he would make it look amazing. And that's exactly what happened in this game. He played across Exort, he was hitting Sunstrikes all around the map, and all around the team, the draft, everything really came together very, very well in this game. And Heading into game 3, it was a very, very similar draft to game 1. Both teams kind of sticking with what they had in game 1, but Team Nigma finally actually got the tower pressure they were missing in game 1, and so when they were winning those team fights, they were actually turning those into objectives. And so Nigma, they upset Team Liquid, who was undefeated to this point. They take the series 2-1, look very impressive, and yeah, all around fantastic series. Later that day, we had Team Secret taking down Cool Guys 2-0. This was a pretty one-sided series. Game 1 was maybe a little bit closer than Game 2. Game 2 was just a, I believe Suns fan and Jenkins called it a monumental shellacking. So I'll leave it at that. And then finally, ending things off, yesterday we had OG taking on Alliance, where it was a very entertaining series, but Alliance really just stood no chance in this one. OG playing very well, playing their eccentric style that we know them for, ATF having his highlight moments, that's for sure. But yeah, Alliance with this series became the second team to be eliminated from the upper division DPC, which leading into our standings. Now we have Team Liquid sitting at the top with a 5-1 record. They are the only one that are guaranteed so far to be making it to the major. The rest of them still have a chance of making it through tiebreakers. In second place, staying there from last week as well, we have Tundra with their win. Tickles with their win over OG. They actually knock OG down, who was tied with them heading into that series. They're 4-1 so far, dropping one spot to third place. Like I mentioned, we have OG, who is 4-2 so far. In fourth place, staying there from the last time I did my review, we have Tundra, who is 3-2 so far. In fifth place, we have two teams tied. Nigma moving up one spot to be 3-3 so far, and Team Secret, who are 3-3 so far as well. And then finally, in seventh place, Alliance drops down one spot. They're 1-5 currently, and Cool Guys are 0-6 at the last place of this standings here. So no chance for Alliance and Cool Guys to catch anyone ahead of them. Now it's just a matter of who ends up making it to the major. If we have a win from Team Secret and Team Nigma, then they can get themselves up to 4 wins, which is what Tickles and OG currently have, meaning that we have potential for a 5-way tie for the remaining 3 spots in the major, which is pretty entertaining. I'm really hoping that that's what it ends up being, because I think tiebreakers are super, super cutthroat, and yeah, I'm super excited for that. But moving on to some stats now. There have been 53 matches played in total in Western Europe's upper division thus far. The Radiant and Dire win rate is not very close either. Dire has 33 wins on 53 games, whereas Radiant only has 20. For first and last pick, we see the same thing, where first pick has 21 wins and last pick has 32. Notably, there was only ever been one game out of these 53 where there was a team on Dire that also had last pick. Oh, sorry, Dire and first pick. Every other game other than that one has been your either Radiant first pick or Dire last pick. For top heroes, we have OD, who is 7-1, who has been seeing a real resurgence in popularity throughout this back half of the season. Definitely one of the more popular ones in China as well, if you saw my review from yesterday. Bane, 20-6, which is astounding. It still boggles my mind how this hero is not one of the more first banned heroes of the tournament. We're still seeing first bans on heroes like Monkey King, which is a little bit odd. But Bane, yeah, an astoundingly high win rate, who has been present in just under half of the matches, which is insane. And then Razor, with a exact same win rate, only half of the matches, 10-3 so far. That hero has also been very, very popular. For worst heroes, we have Hoodwink, who is 0-6, Luna, who is 2-10, who actually got her second win of the DPC when Team Liquid played it against Nigma in that first game, and then Io, who is 1-8, who we've heard Insania talk about a little bit before, how in their series against Team Secret, he was actually pretty glad that Secret took the Io in the third game because he thought it was a bit of a bait. And yeah, the Io's win rate has not looked very good, and it makes sense. It usually gets paired up with a Luna type hero who doesn't really seem to fit the meta all that well right now, and yet we're seeing it be the most banned hero in pretty much every single division, every single region, everywhere. It's just kind of the nature of the hero. It's a very strong hero. For most banned, again, Io showing up with 43 bans, Beastmaster with 33, and Invoker with 30. For top GPM teams, we have Tundra leading the way with 24.85, a very impressive stat, despite the fact that they have not had the best results, but when they do win, they make it look very, very dominant, and they're very good at winning games in very controlling and, again, dominant fashion. Following that, we have OG with 2391 and Secret actually showing up here with 2278. A big reason for that is that Nisha is having himself a hell of a series, and we'll address that when we get to that part of the board. For top XPM, we have Tundra leading the way again with a very impressive 3144. Anything even remotely close to 3,000 is incredibly high for Team XPM. And again, despite the fact that they're not having the best record so far, this is incredibly high. I believe after the first week, they had, after like 1 or 2 series, they had a 3,600 XPM, which is ridiculous. OG with 2918, very high as well. And then Liquid showing up for the first time on this board, despite being the top seed in the region, with a 2738. For top KDA, we had Tundra with 4.65, OG with 4.38, and Tickles with 4.1. And then finally, for players, top GPM, again, Nisha having himself a hell of a season, despite the fact that Secret isn't really gelling the way that I think a lot of people were hoping or expecting, myself included. But yeah, Nisha in that carry role, looking like he never left, looking like he didn't even play mid for all that time. It's as if he's just been playing and practicing carry this whole time. He looks very well adjusted, and he's got that flexibility that you'd really love to see in a player like Nisha, playing the mid lane hero in the safe lane, which, you know, having him as a mid laner for the past year definitely helps with that versatility. Following that, we have Yuragi with 676 and Miracle with 661. He also having a very, very good season, and notably something that Team Nigma has been doing specifically is having him play more of a carry role, while ILTW plays more of a soft carry role in that safe lane position, playing heroes like Queen of Pain, while Miracle plays like a mid Medusa or a Quas Exort Invoker, stuff like that. For top XPM, Skeeter leads the way with 640. We then have 9 from Tundra as well with 726. And then we have Yuragi with 714. And for top KDA, Yuragi leads the way with a very, very high 10.24. We then have Skeeter with 8.47 and 9 with 7.29. So yeah, all in all, another fantastic week for Western Europe. After hearing news that there might still be a major, it's a little bit more exciting to see these matches take place, as of course, if there was no major and there was no incentive to win, there wouldn't be anything on the line. But I think all in all, especially since all these matches took place before the news that there wouldn't be a major came out, it's been a pretty entertaining week. Again, we know the 2 teams that are going home. We know one of the 4 teams that is making it to the major, and this last week of Dota is going to be huge for the region, and I can't wait to watch it. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about the region and this division in particular down in the comments down below. And as we are in the halfway point of this video, feel free to like, subscribe, share, all that fun stuff. If you're enjoying, join the Discord. If you're at all curious, it's in the description. And yeah, let's make our way into the lower division now, as I usually do for the lower division, just because I can't pay as much attention to it as the upper division. I'm just going to be breezing through the matches here kind of quickly, and we're going to make it through here a little bit quicker than the upper division. So starting off on January 5th, we had Team Bald taking out Into the Breach. Bald looking notably shaky at points, not their best performance, but they get the win nonetheless. We then have Brame taking down Ghost Frogs 2-0. Brame again continuing to get themselves near the top of the division, looking to make it into the top 2 this year, this division for sure. Then on January 8th, we had Chicken Fighters taking a forfeited match over No Bounty Hunter. Of course, to this point, No Bounty Hunter is disqualified from the tournament anymore, so all of their series are automatic wins for everyone else in the division. So this match never took place. On January 10th, we had Chillax taking down Team Bald 2-1. They are definitely safe from getting eliminated at this point, but they're definitely also out of the race for making it top 2. We then have on January 11th, Entity taking down Chicken Fighters, which was a match I was very much looking forward to. Both of these teams are at the top of the division, and it's a pure race right now to see who ends up finishing in that top 2. And Entity takes this much needed win over them to really cement themselves as, again, one of the best teams in this division. We then have on January 12th, ending things off, Into the Breach taking down Ghost Frogs for a nice win there to get themselves up ahead of them. And then Brame taking a forfeited match again over No Bounty Hunter. So yeah, taking a look at the standings now, we have Entity, who has completely finished their season right now. They were supposed to have one more match up against No Bounty Hunter this week, but because of that, because of the fact they forfeited, they have that automatic win. So they are done with a 6-1 record, very impressive. We then have Brame and Chicken Fighters at second spot right now, both tied at a 5-1 record. I believe Neither of them play against Ghost Frogs, from what I can tell. If I'm not remembering correctly, all I know is that they don't play against each other, which means it's a very high likelihood that all three of these top teams end up 6-1, which means there will be tiebreakers, which is super exciting. It was the same. It's kind of like a rock paper scissors scenario here, where I believe Entity beat Chicken Fighters beat Brame, and Brame beat Entity, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, I think tiebreakers will be really fun. Sitting in fourth place, we have Team Bald and Chillax, both tied with a 3-3 record. As mentioned earlier, these guys are both safe from relegation, but are not going to be making it into that top two, so they are going to be staying in the lower division for the following tour. Following that, in sixth spot, we have Into the Breach with a 2-4 record so far. Again, getting that win over Ghost Frogs was huge. It got them up ahead of them. And then Ghost Frogs, again, as mentioned, dropping one spot into 7th position so far, 1-5. And then, yeah, no Bounty Hunter, 0-7 so far. Their season is completed. They are not going to be part of this DPC unless they make it in through those open qualifiers again for the second tour. For some stats now, there have been 50 matches played in total, and opposite to the upper division, Radiant has been doing much, much better. 28-22 is the score, and for first pick and last pick actually still having the advantage here. Again, last pick being the more traditionally better pick order in this current patch, 24-26 for last pick. For top heroes, we have Batrider, who is 4-0 so far, Earth Spirit and Tinker, who are 4-1, and Disruptor, who is 9-4. Notably, in the lower division of Western Europe, there aren't very many heroes that have very, very high win rates. That's why you kind of have some mediocre ones like 4-0, where it's, sure, Batrider's undefeated, but he's only been picked 4 times. So just take that with a grain of salt. We then have for worst heroes Treant, 1-5. We have Dark Willow, 3-7, and Mars, who is 6-10, which again isn't a terrible win rate, but there aren't really that many heroes in this division that have very, very high or very, very low win rates. For most banned, however, things are pretty similar to the upper division, at least in the sense that Io is the #1 hero, 38 bans on 50 games, very highly contested. Weaver with 30, and OD with 26. For top GPM teams, and keep in mind, Western Europe on Dota Buff has combined their Div 2 stats with the open qualifier stats. So some of these stats for some of these teams coming in through those open qualifiers are going to be a little bit skewed, so keep that in mind. Chicken Fighters lead the way for GPM with 23-27, then Brame with 22-58, and then Entity with 22-23. Finally, finally, for XPM, we have Entity with 28-38, Chicken Fighters with 28-16, and Brame with 27-03. So again, it's the same 3 teams leading the division right now, leading in every category, including also KDA, where Entity leads with a 4.68 KDA. We then have Brame with 4.45, and Chicken Fighters with 4.18. For top GPM players, we have Aqua from Chicken Fighters with a 6.88, Shad with a 6.54, and then we have Olnit, who is actually on Ghost Frogs. So again, Ghost Frogs is 1-4 so far, but he is having himself a hell of a season so far. Again, I don't recall if Ghost Frogs played in the open qualifiers. If they did, then his stats are definitely a little bit skewed from that. But all in all, I think he's been doing quite well regardless. He's got a 6.47 GPM. For top XPM, we have Stormer with 7.39, Aqua with 7.16. Oh, sorry, not 7.39, it's a 7.39, my bad. And then Crystallis with a 7.09. And for top KDA, we have Stormer with a 9.68, Wish with 8.18, and Crystallis with a 7.29. So yeah, again, very entertaining week for all of Western Europe. The lower division has been a little bit more stagnant in its standings than the upper division, but again, the top 3 teams right now in the lower division having to fight for just 2 spots is going to be really entertaining. I'm hoping for tiebreakers. Again, same thing as in the upper division. I love tiebreaker scenarios. I think they're really intense, and yeah, I'm just really excited for the next week of DPC Dota. We're almost done this season already. It's gone by pretty quickly. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Again, I've got another review going up later tonight for North America, just like this one. And I'm going to be having my power rankings going up tomorrow. And if there's any more breaking news or anything like that, then I'll be posting that as well. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later tonight. Bye.